Looks like we're ready to go. Okay, guys, how are you? Today we are going to make absolutely certain that we are choosing the right ratio when given a couple of sides on a right triangle. When we do our trig, we set this fraction up correctly, we have a real good chance of just punching it in the calculator and getting the right answer. So let's just make sure we're picking the right ratio. Here we are looking at this angle down in the bottom left corner of this triangle. So when we're looking at the hypotenuse, of course, I already have that labeled with our H. We just have to decide on the O for opposite and the A for adjacent. Get that right every time, and we will be home free using SOHCAHTOA. So this 19, I've taught you over and over again, to just go opposite of that angle straight up there. So that is definitely our opposite. So we've got our H and our O. Only thing left is the A. In this case, we have the opposite and the hypotenuse. We are definitely using sine, which would be the opposite over the hypotenuse. And again, now it's calculator time, so what you're going to do on your paper is just circle sine, and then we'll go on to the next. Okay, here again, our hypotenuse is right here. That one we should all know pretty well, but we need to decide which side this one is. So again, when we're looking at this bottom left angle, we go across to get to the opposite. We have no value there, so this must be the adjacent. And this time we have the A and the H given, and the only ratio that has it that way is cosine. So you'll definitely use cosine and figure out the exact measure of that angle. And I have the same picture down here. When you test on this or when you're given work on this, they don't always set the triangle in the exact same position so that the bottom left corner is the angle you're looking for. Sometimes it'll be up here and you would have to go opposite like that. Call that the O. And of course the 13 is still the adjacent side. Just gotta make sure you get that right. So let's look at a couple more examples. Here we have the opposite is the 14. There's no adjacent given, so we've got opposite and hypotenuse again. We'll be using sine. So you'll circle that on the presentation you have. Same thing here on the bottom. The perspective of the triangle is a little bit different, but opposite of the angle is still the 14, and the adjacent is not given. A couple more. Let's see what we have here. Here I don't have a hypotenuse. Now, when you get really good at setting these things up, you'll see, okay, there's no, or I need the hypotenuse for a cosine, I need the hypotenuse for a sine, so the only thing left would be tangent. I've given the opposite, which is straight across right there. The 8 is the opposite. The only thing left is the A for adjacent, and we would set up opposite over adjacent. Turn that into a decimal, hit your inverse button, and boom, you'll have the answer. Another example here. Across is opposite. Here I don't have an opposite, so it can't be tangent, can't be sine. This is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and definitely a cosine ratio. And we will know this exact measure of this angle. Pretty cool stuff. Trig is usually pretty fun for most kids. Once they get the hang of it, they feel a lot of satisfaction getting the right answers over and over again, but just labeling them O, A, and H at first is such a good strategy that I have to share it with you. Opposite and adjacent this time, of course, that is tangent. So 29 over 38, and you are home free and ready to get that right.